Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we've got a bit of a fun news roundup for you. We're going to cover xQc calling out Team USA for a potential show match, presumably in response to our interview with Rawkus and Sinatraa, where they essentially said that Team USA was much better than Team Canada and would take care of them relatively easily in this year's World Cup. We'll also be speculating a little bit about the potential new content that we could be seeing at Gamescom this year, which if previous years are anything to go by, will very likely include a new animated short and a new map for us to play on. We'll then finish up the video by covering some of the London Spitfire players' reactions to their win in the grand finals, which despite the Overwatch League having a very safe reputation, does have a little bit of unexpected and very welcome spice, particularly where Bdosin is concerned. And then finally we're going to cover quite a funny story about how Birdring initially injured his wrist. Let's just say even pros aren't beyond occasionally smashing their desks. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into the stories. Now, if you don't know, a few days ago, we released a video which had interviews with a bunch of Overwatch League pros. This was filmed while we were in the United States for the Overwatch League Grand Finals. And the section that's attracted the most attention is where we got to ask Sinatraa and Rawkus about their thoughts concerning the upcoming Overwatch World Cup, particularly as far as Team USA's chances were concerned. Now, I'm just going to keep it completely real with you guys. Neither FREEDO or myself were expecting them to go off as hard on Team Canada as they actually did. Now, I am aware that the community is kind of split on whether or not this kind of trash talk is either unprofessional or quite entertaining. Just to offer my own personal opinion, I'm kind of in the latter camp. I can totally understand why some people don't like it, they think it's disrespectful, but there's a small part of me, maybe even a little evil version of Eddie, that just finds this kind of stuff so much fun. The way I think of it is, this kind of stuff is very similar to how fighters promote fights in either the UFC or boxing. It adds an extra dimension to the upcoming matchup, and as long as the parties involved don't go too overboard and make it too mean and nasty and personal, I kinda think it's great. Ask yourself, how much more invested will fans be once this match comes around later this year? Particularly when you consider Team Canada's main tank xQc's reaction, which seems to be directly in response to Sinatra's and Rawkus' claims that Team USA is one of the best teams in the meta right now and quite easily outstripped Team Canada in terms of skill. On Twitter, xQc said, "I would love to do a show match, Team Canada versus Team USA, so we could face the best in the meta in quotes before a patch rolls in. We could even throw in a prize pool. Sounds fun, right?" I'll also just draw your attention to the official Team Canada Twitter's response to that tweet down below. Now that is something that at least personally I would be very interested in seeing. If I can just quickly add in my own 2 cents about it, perhaps to keep the tone light and positive, the prize pool could actually be a charity prize pool, with the winning team donating their reward to a charity of their choice. If they did do that, I think everyone could really get behind it. Any show match would really help build up hype for their official meeting within the Overwatch World Cup. Genuine sports rivalry can be amazingly entertaining, and with the Overwatch League being finished for this year, a nice spicy World Cup tournament could really hold us over until the beginning of Season 2. But maybe you don't feel the same way about this as I do. You'll have to let me know in the comments which side of this divide you fall on. Would you be excited to see a show/grudge match between Team Canada and USA? Or are you from the camp that thinks all of this is a little bit juvenile? Now, changing tack a little bit to cover our next subject, there's quite a lot of new Overwatch content just around the corner. Now, it's our guess that Summer Games will actually come this Tuesday, which would be the 7th of August, which is very much in line with what last year's release date was. Now, we've speculated before about skins and cosmetics and what might be the overall theme. The Football World Cup seems an easy tie-in like the Olympics of the year of the first Summer Games, but really this is all just guesswork, and seeing as the likely release is very soon, very firm details about exactly what the event is will likely make their way to social media imminently. As always with that kind of stuff, we'll make videos covering it for you guys. But actually what's quite interesting to speculate about is the content that's happening just past the Summer Games release. Gamescom is a giant gaming convention that happens every year in Germany, and this year it's happening from the 21st to the 25th of August. Now, at last year's Gamescom, we got 2 major pieces of content. One was the May animated short, and the other was the new at the time payload map Junkertown. I don't think it's too unreasonable to speculate that we'll be getting similar items this year, particularly in terms of a new animated short, as there hasn't actually been a new one since Reinhardt at BlizzCon 2017, which was in November November last year. Now, there's two ways that Blizzard could handle a new animated short. They could do another short story about a hero's past. Good candidates for that could be Lucio or D.Va, as their backstories aren't as fleshed out as perhaps some other heroes are. Lucio's particularly could be quite interesting, seeing as it kind of cross-pollinates a little bit with Sinatraa. The sound technology that Lucio uses in his weapon and his healing and his speed boost was invented by Lucio's father, but owned by the Vishkar Corporation. There does, according to some voice lines in-game, appear to be some bad blood about the whole situation. So a cinematic exploring that background in more detail could be a lot of fun to watch. Likewise, finding out just how a Korean pro gamer finds herself intertwined with global secret organizations engaged in a battle for the future of the world would be a fascinating story to explore. But I do get a sense from the community that having more cinematics going back in the past of Overwatch story and not moving forward is not the direction that a lot of people would prefer. We want to know what's happening now, Jeff. What exactly is Doomfist up to? How is the second Omnic Crisis gonna start? But if you'll allow me to be self-indulgent and tell you what I really want, I want to see a new McCree cinematic done in the style of an old spaghetti western movie. McCree is basically Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name character anyway. He's got the poncho and everything. I want to explore his character and see what his motivations are in the modern world. How exactly does he respond to Winston's Overwatch recall? Plus, come on, you know it would just be cool. Moving on to the other piece of likely content, which would be a new map, I think it's high time that we got another control set of maps. Oasis was a very long time ago now, and Payload and Hybrid now both have more individual maps than both Control or Assault. I guess Control still has more if you count each individual map variant, but seeing as you play them in a series in-game, I think I can be forgiven for actually not counting that. Really what I'm trying to say is, please Jeff, anything but more 2CP. It's a mode that works amazing at the pro level, but in matchmaking, let's all just be honest here, it doesn't play the best when everyone's picked DPS and doing their own thing. And as for the setting, if you look at the Control maps, you've got one set in Greece, which is Ilios, you've got one set in China, which is Lijiang Tower, one set in Nepal in the Himalayas, and Oasis, which is set in the Middle East. I could see either North or South America being a great place to have a new map, but for some reason Spain is just jumping out to me. There's amazing architecture in cities like Barcelona that you could base it from, and I just think it could be a really good fit for the Overwatch aesthetic. Let me know in the comments both your feelings about a potential new cinematic and what kind of game mode for a new map and its setting you would like to see. For instance, are you okay with the next cinematic being based in the past again, or do you want them to move the story forward? Next up, we're going to cover some of the London Spitfires players' reaction to them winning the grand finals. As always with Korean player translation, a big shout out to Robin311 on Twitter. He has quite a long thread covering Gesture's reaction. In summary, Gesture talks about the trials and tribulations of their very long season, which included a wide variety of setbacks. Birdring's wrist injury, which we'll get to later, the somewhat controversial decision that they made to stick with just their starting lineup and release all their other players, the toll of both personal and team failures throughout the season, and he concludes with this overall thank you to all the fans. He said, "It is natural for fans to cheer for strong teams. We were very shaky in the middle, but we want to thank the loyal fans who remain supporting us until the very end. I'm not sure about next season, but as long as I'm satisfied with my play, my team will definitely win." At the end there seems to be a little bit of doubt about where he'll be playing next season, but if I were London Spitfire, after the real MVP performance he had in the finals, they'd be absolutely crazy to let him go. And as such, I think it's very likely that we see Gesture in a London shirt for Season 2. Now, Gesture's reaction does feel kind of reflective and quite thoughtful. His teammate Bdosin, however, brings all the spice. In this article from the Mail Online, Bdosin had some choice words for his opponents, the Philadelphia Fusion, after his team's grand finals win. He said, "I didn't think it would be this easy. I hope next year we play against a stronger team." Wow, damn. And when asked the next day to clarify what he meant, he said, "I like trash talking bad players." But he added, "There's a reason behind it. It's because everyone gets criticized when they play bad, including myself. I feel like that's semi-warranted and it's entertaining to do. I have to say, even though I really like the Fusion and really wanted to see them do well in the final, I kind of love the extra bit of personality on display here. Even if you could consider it a little bit disrespectful, I quite like being reminded that these pro players are real people with highly competitive personalities. That's one of the many reasons why they're there and we're not. I like my esports a little bit more raw, as I mentioned earlier. Again, let me know what you guys think. Is Bdosin making these kind of comments funny and entertaining to you? Or is it unprofessional and a little bit over the line? One thing that is definitely funny, although it probably wasn't at the time for the players involved, is the story of how Birdring actually initially injured his wrist. It's been revealed on Twitter that the injury happened when he slammed his hand on his desk while playing the game Getting Over It. If you've ever watched any streamers play that game, you could totally understand how it can be massively frustrating, potentially losing all of your progress in an instant and falling all the way back down to the beginning of the level. So it turns out that in some ways Birdring is just a gamer like the rest of us. Who here watching this video hasn't slammed either their keyboard or their mouse or their controller if they're playing on console? We've all done it, but at least in our cases it didn't result in a potential season ruining injury for a pro player. Like I said, it's probably funny to Birdring and his teammates now after they've won the grand finals, but it might not have been at the time. There's a lesson there somewhere, not that we'll pay attention to it, I'm sure. And that's about it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you never want to miss another video of ours again, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on our channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in great company. And finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you can find updates about new videos and other cool stuff. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time.